Ladies, gentlemen, and tarnished of all ages, there's a ton of new items in the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion, and while they seem to be generally easier to find for most people, a lot of people will sort of underread item descriptions. I often see people not realizing that a weapon skill has multiple inputs, for example, or not knowing that the armor that they pick up actually has a special bonus effect on it. And while a few days ago we talked about a couple of the most powerful new stat boosting armor sets added to the game, and a couple of other ones just for some fun as well, today we're just going to cover every remaining stat boosting armor that is new to the DLC that doesn't come specifically from an NPC quest, as those are their own thing, or from specifically the 2 stat boosting helmets that come as part of the guaranteed path at the very end of the section of the DLC. That said, we will go in game progression order as usual, meaning that the earlier in the video it is, the closer to the first sight of grace of the DLC you can actually get it. First up today then is the curseblade mask. Some will say this mask is ugly, others will see it for what it is, the perfect cosplay piece for Morgut or Moog armor. But regardless of your thoughts on its visuals, it has the effect of giving you 5 dexterity while equipped at the cost of around 7% less healing from your Crimson Flask, and, just no focus as a resistant on the helmet itself. Whether this is worth it to you or not is essentially a personal choice, but the first step to making the choices is to know the options that you have. To get this one for yourself, then you have to farm it, as it is just an RNG drop from the curseblade enemies that wear it. The first one and earliest one that is available is literally just forward from the first opening grace of the DLC, but it is not the most efficient one to farm. Instead, it is actually the one just slightly back from the stage front site of grace in Ballarat Tower, just before the actual boss of the Legacy Dungeon. Just slightly down the stairs, you will find one of these enemies who comparatively is facing away from you, and basically just won't even know you're there until you hit him. So you can backstab him, you can get a free Ash of War in. It just really makes it an easy farm to just unalive the guy and then teleport right back to the grace and repeat until you get the drop. Second then, today is the Horned Warrior helmet, and this one is quite similar to the last one in a lot of ways. Definitely a bit of a grotesque look to it, but this one raises your strength stat by 5, while equipped once again at the cost of 7% lower Crimson Flask healing, and again no focused as a resist on the helmet. As far as how to get this one then, it again needs to be farmed, as it is an RNG drop from the Horned Warrior enemies that wear the helmet, with the easiest one to consistently farm being at the small private altar site of grace in Ballarat Tower. Just a straight line from the spawn location up the stairs, one of these guys is hanging around just waiting for a chance to drop this for you. Third then, we have the Dancer's set. We used this recently to great effect. It is a beautiful armor set, as you can tell on my large hairy pink man, and the actual effect on it is increased damage with dance attacks for each armor piece that you have on, for a total around 10% increase to these attacks if you have the full set equipped. This applies to the weapon that comes with the armor, the Dancing Blade of Rana, but it also applies to Waterfowl Dance, the weapon skill on Malenia's katana, which is sort of silly as well as an option for this set to be able to boost. In order to get this one for yourself then, it is in the Cerulean Coast region, specifically in the southern Nameless Mausoleum. There is a boss, inside of this, you kill it, they drop this, and that is on the little island off of the coast, and from the Cerulean Coast west side of Grace, this is the path on the map. But just to sort of make it simple, I will just show the full route to show you how to get across the water. Fourth then today is going to be the Gravebird Blackquill armor. This is a really fancy alternate version of the Gravebird armor, and the effect on this one is 10% increased damage with jump attacks. This is the exact same effect and potency of the Raptor's Black Feathers armor from the base game, but it looks like quite a bit different from that, so it's basically just an aesthetically different option with the same exact effect for jump attack builds. As for where to grab this one then, it is right near the Templetown Ruins site of Grace in the lower west section of the Shadow Altus region. Just a short ride northwest until you reach the gravebird statues while hugging the left cliff wall, and then you'll just see this armor sitting on a corpse in front of a grave nearby. Fifth up then we have the imp head lion variety. This follows the theme from the base game of a variety of helmets from the imp enemies that weigh a fair amount but give boosts to stats, this one being a +2 to your vigor stat. For anyone who would like that advantage in their life to get this one yourself, it comes from a specific hidden location within the Scorpion River Catacombs dungeon in the far end section of the area from the last entry. Once inside, the path is pretty lengthy, so I'll just play the full thing for clarity. Sixth, then we have the Death Mask Helmet. This is a variation Fire Knight helmet, of which there are 3 in the game, and this one specifically lowers the FP cost of summons by 15% while equipped, which feels like an incredibly niche bonus, but hey, it's a bonus nonetheless. To get this one yourself, then you need to drain the Cathedral Depths area of the Shadow Keep. If you haven't done this yet, the closest grace to do so from is the Storehouse back section Site of Grace, and I'll just show you the full route from here to both drain the area and then get to the Fire Knight specifically. Once at the Fire Knight, this one is a sort of special mini-boss version that summons little exploding men to attack you unless you kill them quickly, which fits with this helmet's drop actual bonus effect too. Seventh, and today we have the next variant of the Fire Knight helmets, the Winged Serpent Helm. This one is incredibly ornate, belonging to the captain of the Fire Knights, and the specific effect of this one is boosting all Fire Knight style weapon skills by around 10% damage, and while there aren't many of these in the game, they do seem relatively strong, so this definitely does have a bit of a niche use. This one is along the main path, path, so unmissable in a sense, but it is specifically the Fire Knight captain who exists right outside of the doors to the Dark Chamber entrance, Site of Grace, with the expectation being that you fight them on the way in here, where they will drop the helmet for you. 8th up then is Saiza's Hood, the final of the Fire Knight variant trio, and this one is just a giant bundle of cloth, silly helmet that comes with the effect of boosting your intelligence stat by 2 with just no negatives on it at all. So this is an incredibly weirdly effective helmet for sorcery or intelligence users in general. As for actually getting it then, this one comes from its wearer, again the final Fire Knight special mini-boss, which is the caster blocking off the end of the bridge leading west from the West Rampart Site of Grace in the Shadow Keep, accessed from the bottom of the storehouse. Kill the knight at the end of the bridge that is located at this spot right here, then you get the helmet, simple as that. 9th then, this one is sort of along the main path, but no boss health bar and fully ignorable, which means that guaranteed some people just won't get it, but it is the Crucible Hammer Helmet. This is just a nice meaty hammer-headed helmet of the Crucible Knight style, a little bit weightier and more defensive than the other Crucible Knight helmets, and this one is just basically an exact carbon copy of the effect of the other Crucible Knight helmets. It boosts the damage of Crucible incantations by around 4%. So this is, again, mostly just an aesthetic variant to the other Crucible helmets. As for getting it, it is from the Crucible Knight mini-boss with the giant hammer right next to the ancient Rawa runes east side of Grace. Just beat up the enemy that is there, and the helmet will be yours, along with their weapon as well. 10th up today then is the Divine Bird Helmet, a beautiful golden bird helmet, and this one is the special effect of boosting your strength by 3, your dexterity by 4, and also giving you around a 5 to 6% bonus to damage dealt with Divine Bird incantations. But also weirdly, and in a way that I honestly have no way of actually explaining, this also works with the weapon skill on Letta's sword, Needle Piercer. Yes, the game counts this as a Divine Feather incantation, just don't ask me why, but it clearly boosts the damage to have the helmet on when you actually compare this. As well, that does have the negative of lowering the amount of healing you get from your Crimson Flask, but unlike the other two helmets that do that, this one decreases it by around 10%, so a little bit heftier. As for how to get this one then, it is an RNG drop from the Divine Bird warrior enemies, and the earliest one that you can actually farm is in the ancient Rawa runes area, specifically from the Church of the Bud entrance Site of Grace. You can get on Torrent, run to this cliff right over here, and you have to specifically wait just a beat between your jumps before your second jump to actually get the amount of distance that you need to make it to the roof without dying, because if you spam the button you'll just miss and die, but from the roof it's just a safe drop down a few feet away from the spawn location of the enemy that you want to farm. Kill them, two-handing large weapons seems like a good counter if you need a specific one, and then you can just teleport back to the Grace and repeat this loop over and over until you get the drops you're after, or like me, get the entire armor set twice over looking for the helmet itself. That said, finally number 11 today is the Divine Bird Greaves, which are the legs of the same armor set, and unsurprisingly you actually get them the same way, an RNG drop from the same enemy. These are wicked, really cool, gnarly looking bird claws on the bottom of them, and the actual effect that they have, hilariously, is boosting the damage of all attacks in the game that are counted as kicks by around 5%, whether they be skills or just part of a weapon's moveset, which makes them work incredibly well with the Dane's Footwork hand-to-hand weapon that is mostly focused on kick attacks, as it buffs the majority of attacks from this weapon just straight up. This also has some other interactions, but this is definitely the main one for sure, trying to incentivize a bit of bird-based martial arts, which, you know, at least I didn't typo that into bird-based marital arts, which would be a very different interaction. That's just about does it for today then, everyone. The full remaining list of armor with actual statistical or character affecting bonuses, minus anything that either comes directly from Remembrance Boss or from NPCs, or the couple of helmets from the end of the DLC. I hope you've enjoyed this then, and hopefully even if none of these things fit into your current build, just the base knowledge of knowing they exist helps you work out future setups that you might want to play around with in the game. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.